legislature does. And in this case, the legislature said it in absolutely unambiguous terms. I heard this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Coffey.
Well, I mean, come on. You're talking about a case 2 years ago where the people of Florida, the people of the country had a choice, two different candidates. That kind of case is not going to be applied to say that courts can eliminate a choice for the voters of New Jersey. And let's focus on something else that I think is extremely important here. If we get into a situation where the system starts to be manipulated, that is something where the courts may intercede. But the New Jersey Supreme Court clearly decided that nothing of the kind is happening, that Torricelli was out, he wanted out, and that the people of New Jersey have a voice. The other concern is, do we really want courts getting in and effectively calling the game before the teams even show up on the field, in effect saying only one team gets to play in the Super Bowl?
It seems to me that Mr. Torricelli knew that the court would rule this way. That's why he dropped himself from the ticket. And in other words, he created the vacancy knowing this would be filled in a manipulative fashion. He was the chief manipulator, wasn't he, Mr. Coffey?
I don't think so. I think if Torricelli had wanted to truly manipulate this, he could have resigned his position in the Senate immediately. Democrat appoints another Democrat, and as I understand the scenario then, they wouldn't even have to go to this election. So if he really wanted to play games, that would have been what was done. He obviously wants to serve out his Senate term. He doesn't feel he can be or should be a candidate anymore. And I think the Supreme Court of New Jersey has done the right things and letting the voters finally decide whether this is manipulation or whether this is a legitimate scenario.
Up next, we're going to come back with Kendall Coffey, who represented Al Gore last time, and Barry Richard, who represented George W. Bush last time. Different sides. Big fight on what the New Jersey Senate case means for elections in the future. I'm curious. Plus, William F. Buckley on whether America should go to war with Iraq. He thinks so. And later, the Hardball's hot seat as a Citadel candidate tries for a chance to win some scholarship money. You're watching Hardball.
Looking for the most fiercely independent primetime lineup on television? It's on cable. It's on MSNBC. That's right. Weeknights beginning at 8 with the show the New York Post calls Dynamite. Donahue. And at 9, now only on MSNBC, No Question is Out of Bounds when Chris Matthews plays Hardball. Then, around the world, across America, wherever the story goes, she takes you there. Ashley Banfield on location at 10. America's news channel, MSNBC. Fiercely independent. Stay with America's news channel, MSNBC.
It's all about efficiency.
It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
We're going to the fair.
I can't tell you who to sock you to.
It's my other set of wheels.
Yeah.
Gets me to class.
All right.
I'm going to see my boyfriend.
We went to the fair, all right.
It's your thing.
Public transportation, wherever life takes you.
In this confusing and often challenging world, you have a friend you can trust. Every Sunday, Parade magazine is included in the finest newspapers in America. Though no one knows what the future will bring, Parade magazine will be there at your doorstep, informing, entertaining, inspiring, and empowering. Read Parade every Sunday in your newspaper.
Introducing the all-new E-Class. You may never want to leave it.
There's another kind of Bounty. Bounty double quilted.
It does jobs I never thought a paper towel could do. The quicker picker-upper is double quilted.
Each sheet is quilted once, then quilted again, making it the strongest two-ply paper towel.
It even works underwater.
And there are twice as many sheets on a roll. More sheets that can do more jobs than you ever thought possible.
Quilted, quick to pick her upper.
Bounty Double Quilted.
I think this is the one. It's beautiful.
So, you're going to wear white after all. Just kidding, you crazy chick. Weddings are great, and they get better every time.
Who is that? Vegas.
That's right, baby. Round up the girls, kick up your heels, and party like you still got Daddy's credit card. My lips are sealed. Hello? Mama's got a hobby. Oh, boy.
What have you been up to, Mr. Moneybag?
It's okay. I put it on the credit card.
Those interest charges are going to get us.
Don't worry. It's our new Capital One No Hassle card.
Check your mailbox today for Capital One's No Hassle card offer. Great low rates and none of the hassle.
Donahue is on a tear on America's news channel.
I say on my own time, God bless America.
Weeknights at 8 on America's news channel, MSNBC.
Let's go to Mr. Coffee. Kendall Coffee, suppose the Democratic Party of New York came to you tomorrow morning and said, we got a tough case, we got this guy McCall, he's in all kinds of mess, we need a stronger candidate against Pataki, or we lose every state office on the slate. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd first of all find out whether the New York law allows any kind of change to be made. Secondly, you've got in all these election cases very real issues of logistics. There's got to be enough time to make a substitution. So,
but there wasn't this time, technically. Didn't they already send out the ballots to service people around the world?
106 ballots apparently went to service people. I know they're trying to make a big issue out of that, but let's face it, if there isn't a change, if Lautenberg isn't put on the ballot, those 106 ballots are not going to be counted in the Senate race anyway, because they're going to be votes between Torricelli and Forrester that are meaningless. Meanwhile, you'll be denying millions of people the chance to have a vote in a real election. So I think it's very clear that that absentee ballot issue can clearly be corrected. The state Supreme Court was very judicious and specific, told the Democrats, you have to pay $800,000 to handle these mailings, get the word out. There's FedEx, there's fax, there's lots of ways to get a hold of people over 30 days.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Richard for a moment. Take your time, sir. If you were to approach the Supreme Court tomorrow morning and make a case for a review here for cert, what would be your case?
Well, there are several bases.
The New Jersey case.
Yeah, there are several bases. I think that the primary one is that the United States Constitution, in Article 1, Section 4, says very explicitly the legislatures of the various states shall set the time and manner of electing members of Congress. And the New Jersey legislature did. Mr. Coffey keeps talking about what the statute says and made some comment about me talking about 2 years ago. I'm talking about the New Jersey statute right now, today. And what the legislature said in that statute was that the selection of the new candidate shall be made not later than 48 days prior to the election. You can't read that any more mandatory than it is. I listened to the argument before the New Jersey Supreme Court last night, and one of the justices said, we have to make a decision between two policies. Well, they don't have a decision to make between policies. It's the legislature that sets the policy, and the New Jersey legislature has said it. I think that's the paramount issue here.
Was it a runaway court? Is this a runaway court?
Well, if by runaway court you mean the court disregards what the legislature says and does whatever it pleases, then I would have to say it's a runaway court.
Are they as bad as the Florida Supreme Court?
Well, I mean,
they were pretty liberal in their interpretation of the law down there. They were going back to first principles and ignoring the state deadlines pretty regularly. They didn't really care what the state legislatures thought.
Well, obviously, I thought that the Florida Supreme Court's decision was incorrect because I told them that at the time I made my argument, but I think that this decision is even worse than the Florida Supreme Court's decision.
Let me ask you, Mr. Coffey, what are the chances of the Supreme Court reviewing this case?
Very slim, although as a Democratic lawyer, we said that once before. And so there's no guarantee there. But this is a much tougher case for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, Chief Justice Rehnquist's concurrence and the block of justices who were very critical to the original decision, Bush versus Gore, emphasized the unique national concerns implicated in electing the president and the vice president. The
who has to make the toughest?
Who represent all of the people of the United States.
I'm sorry to rush you, Mr. Coffey. Who has to make the toughest decision? Judge Souter, who was appointed by Bush, or does he have to make the move since he's the jurisdictional judge here? Does he have to bring up the case?
He's going to review this with 3 other justices in terms of the original stay application. This is not a decision that any one justice could make because it really implicates the entire court. 2 years ago, they made a call that many think meant the presidency. Now, they could be making a call that determines who controls the United States Senate. That's not one justice's decision.
Thank you very much for your time, John. I know it's expensive. Kendall Coffey, Barry Richards. Up next, Barry Richard. Up next, the National Review's William Buckley on whether Congress is giving President Bush too much power to attack Iraq. And don't forget, join me this weekend for the Chris Matthews Show on NBC and other stations. That's this weekend. Check your local listings.
Introducing Suzuki's 0, 0, and 7 event, featuring America's #1 value plan. It's America's #1 finance offer and America's #1 warranty. 0% APR financing for 5 full years with 0 down payment on all new Suzuki models. And now, all new Suzukis come with a 100,000-mile 7-year powertrain limited warranty, like the XL7 with available third-row seating, and the 145-horsepower Aereo, now available with the confidence of all-wheel drive. The smart choice is America's #1 value plan, so move fast to your local Suzuki dealer today.
At Choice Hotels, we know there's nothing wrong with any family that a few days of traveling together can't fix. That's why we have over 2,500 Choice locations across the country. Because the farther you get from home, the closer you get to the people who live there.
So when are we going to talk about the honeys and the bees?
The what?
Choice Hotels. Go to choicehotels.com and enter the get-together sweepstakes where you could win a trip for 10 to any Choice Hotel location in the continental U.S. That's the power of being there.
AT&T Broadband.
Pay-per-view.
Hey, Burton. What's up? When are we racing? Jeff.
NASCAR in-car on in-demand, only on digital cable. Get you so close to your favorite NASCAR Winston Cup Series drivers, you might get carried away.
Are we hanging out again this week, or what?
Sign up now to get the end-of-season offer for just $35.
I'll be back next week, guys.
Don't wait. Upgrade to AT&T Digital Cable today and order NASCAR in-car excitement on in-demand.
AT&T Broadband.
Pay-per-view.
Who's watching? Hockey. What's on next? Hockey. All right. Just put it off the table, please.
Do you live hockey? Then you need NHL Center Ice on Sports In Demand. Follow your team and catch up to 40 out-of-market regular season NHL games a week on digital cable. To order now, call 1-888-SPORTS-IN.
Your team is right here in October. Order NHL Center Ice today on Sports In Demand.
Hardball College Tour. I'm Chris Matthews. On Wednesday, the Hardball College Tour goes to Cleveland State University for Joe Esterhaus, the man who wrote Basic Instinct and is leading a crusade against Hollywood's glorification of smoking.
The Hardball College Tour rolls on next Wednesday night at 9, only on America's news channel, MSNBC.
No lectures, no papers, just hardball.
You're watching America's news channel, MSNBC.
It's almost 200,000 people in over 40 countries, working as one. It's 10 inventions every business day. And not all of them automotive. It's going from the Indy 500 to the Fortune 500. It's Delphi, where slowing down is not an option. Gotta go.
Want a close shave while avoiding razor burn? The new Extreme 3 from Schick balances 3 blades on a central pivot for a close, comfortable shave. Extreme 3. Get close, not burned.
Measurement provisions, non-financial and indemnifying partner follow-up call.
Where can you find an upgrade for the conference call? Place where?
MSNBC Right Now is brought to you by Novell and Placeware. Where can you hear Rudy Giuliani's live speech on leadership and security? Placeware, Wednesday, October 16th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Register today.
This half hour on Hardball, the National Review's William F. Buckley Jr. as the Bush administration beats the drums of war, plus political buzz with Ralph Reed and Dee Dee Myers. But first, it's the bottom of the hour, time for a look at the latest news.
Jessica Yellen, here's what's happening right now. Some breaking news with tensions between India and Pakistan running high. Pakistan now test firing a new surface-to-surface missile. An Army spokesman calls it routine. India was warned before the test. Police urge calm in Montgomery County, Maryland tonight, where residents of the D.C. suburb are shaken by random shootings, wondering if they should send their kids to school tomorrow.
Please talk to your children. Let them know, in the best way that you can. We are working diligently to find who's responsible for this.
Five people were killed in separate locations over 16 hours. Police are looking for a white van. Tonight's question, will the U.S. Supreme Court hear the case of the disputed New Jersey ballot? Control of the Senate may hang on the answer, and Republicans want to stop Democrats from replacing Senator Torricelli. That's the latest news. We'll have more live and
We're joined now by William F. Buckley, Jr., the editor-at-large of the National Review. Mr. Buckley, are you hawkish on this war with Iraq?
Do you mean, am I in favor of enforcing our demands? The answer is yes.
Are you in favor of waiting for the UN to act, or moving ahead right now?
Our position towards the UN, Chris, ought to be that we have resolved what it is that needs to be done, and the acquiescence of the United Nations would be entirely welcome. But the point I think that ought to be stressed right now is that what we're going through now is a challenge in the definition of authority. We're so effusive in the use of UN rhetoric over the last 20 years that we give the impression that the United Nations has sovereignty in matters of this kind. Now, they don't formally, but to come forward and say that is something that we haven't been prepared to do publicly. I view the situation as follows. The President of the United States and the Vice President have told us what's going on there amounts to a challenge and a potential dislocation with apocalyptic weapons in an area in the world from which we can't retreat. Under the circumstances, we have to do it. Now, if in the course of doing it, we have to rewrite some current understandings with our allies or with the United Nations, then we've got to do that also.
If the government of Saddam Hussein were to accept a complete frisking of his country, a complete laydown to the UN inspectors, would you think that would be enough, or would you still want war?
Yeah. Let's use a different formula. I don't want war. I want, we have been trained to believe that Hussein is a critical factor in this theater, and only the removal of that factor can have the tonic effect that we would have from removing a cancerous cyst in our system. We've heard it said, and I think credibly, that it is impossible actually to assume that the inspectors can dig under every bush in which nowadays one can develop these weapons. Under the circumstances, a conceptual acquiescence by Hussein for investigations everywhere, I've been taught to believe by the people who are writing policy, isn't enough. That Hussein is critical, and that the deceptions he's in a position to use are ones that we can't tolerate. Now, it's true that just yesterday, Mr. Powell gave the impression that if we could have, as you say, total access to everything there, then the survival of Hussein is simply an aesthetic offense.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that the people on whose authority you're counting intellectually about what's going on in Iraq, do you believe their only motive, their only cause for war is those weapons of mass destruction? I'm talking about people like Paul Wolfowitz, the ideologues within this administration. Do you think the only thing driving them is concern about biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons in the hands of Saddam Hussein?
What other concern is conceivable?
Well, they're concerned about the threats to Israel. They're threats ideologically from a government that's hostile to ours. Their desire to spread democracy by force. They've voiced all these concerns.
Well, the people in public life who have been primarily identified as concerned with Israel haven't been at the forefront of insisting that we have a showdown with Iraq, nor were they 12 years ago, beyond the point of affecting the limited agenda of President Bush. So I don't think this is a phony enterprise in the sense of saying Israel first and under the circumstances.
Well, I think there's a regional concern for this. If I were to add up what I think are the factors, it would be generally a concern about our friendship with Israel, our concern with other Arab countries, also our concern about keeping access to cheap oil and plenty of it, and also perhaps a sort of a sense of a sonny boy getting even for daddy, which I can completely understand why a son would want to get even with someone who tried to kill his father. I shouldn't say sonny boy, just any kid would want to get even for somebody who tried to kill his father. Aren't all these factors relevant in this debate?
As an occasional novel writer, I would read that exactly the opposite. In order to protect your father's reputation of having done the wrong thing, you should proceed to pretend that it wasn't necessary to do anything more aggressive. So I think that George W. Jr.'s turning against his father's record on the matter of Iraq is not entirely filial. I therefore think that it is demanded by data which he thinks of overwhelming importance.
Yeah, because I say this because only recently the president did say that one of the reasons he has for believing that Saddam Hussein is an evil person is his attempt to kill his father. He pointed it out.
He didn't say that was reason for thinking he was evil. He pointed out as one of the things that he does. Now, we've tried to kill chiefs of state, and we theoretically don't any longer do it. This doesn't mean that we wouldn't be extremely grateful if somebody popped off Saddam Hussein tomorrow. I think it was a mistake. It was an idiomatic mistake for George W. to mention the attempt on his father's life, because some people misinterpret that as an incentive to go forward in this aggressive course. But nothing that was said before that remark is affected by his having made it.
Remember the United States Constitution and its delegation to the U.S. Congress, the right to declare war? I want to read you, Mr. Buckley, the language of this resolution, which Dick Gephardt has bowed down to, which the president has apparently dictated. The president wants the right, quote, to defend the national security of the United States against the continuing threat posed by Iraq. If that isn't the most broadest, it seems to me, and I'll ask you in a rhetorical sense or interrogative sense, isn't that an extremely broad definition for presidential war-making authority, given the fact that Congress should withhold the right to declare war?
You're absolutely right. But we've had 82 uses of the military abroad in 200 years, and only 6 of them were backed by congressional action. So that it's remarkable that we actually petitioning for congressional action. This is a very stagey war, and under the circumstances we have to do that. But once again, Mr. Bush himself says that his powers under the Constitution transcend any limitations that Congress might impose on him. So therefore, the argument over factual cogency is distracting.
Well, what's wrong with simply, since we have plenty of time, and this is sort of an elective surgery in terms of foreign policy, we're deciding to do it, we're setting the timetable ourselves as a country, we're doing it unilaterally, it seems. What's wrong with using the Constitution properly and having Congress declare war on the government of Iraq?
Absolutely nothing. In my judgment, that's what we ought to be done. You know, even the man who invented the doctrine of containment, George Kennan, came out for declaring war against Afghanistan in 1979 when they took on Iran when they took our hostages. The declaration of war is psychologically limited since the development of the atom bomb, because the enunciation of that war suggests that unlimited uses of our power are relevant, and we shudder at the mere thought of that. But as a formal matter, I agree with you completely. We should declare war against Iraq, and that would be the wholesome way to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. Thanks for joining us on Hardball. I agree with the wholesomeness of a constitutional solution. Up next, the Hardball hot seat. The Citadel's Nicholas Sinclair competes for a chance to win scholarship money, plus the political buzz with Dee Myers, our old pals, coming back, and Ralph Reed, he's coming too. You're watching Hardball.
Where do you never run late for a meeting? Place where?
So nice of you to visit again.
Tomorrow.
Experience the suspenseful masterpiece Time magazine calls brilliant.
Every game must have its ending.
Red Dragon, rated R, at theaters tomorrow.
Before he grows up, gets his own place, and forgets to call home, you get a few choice years of him just to yourself. That's why we have over 2,500 choice locations across the country. Because the farther you get from home, the closer you get to the people who live there.
So when are we going to talk about the honeys and the bees?
The what?
Choice Hotels. Go to choicehotels.com and enter the get-together sweepstakes where you could win a trip for 10 to any Choice Hotel location in the continental U.S. That's the power of being there.
Next time you're on the road and you need to fill your tank, here's something to consider. New Shell gasoline is specially formulated to help prevent deposit buildup in your engine, which helps keep it clean. And a clean engine performs better, which is why when they're looking for more from their gasoline, so many drivers choose Shell.
I love to keep a clean club, but the boys get so rambunctious sometimes. Nice catch! Hence, my new Bissell Pro Heat Protect Beauty. It's the only one that thoroughly cleans and provides Scotch Guard protection all in one beautiful machine. Smoothies! Scotch Guard protection. It's cool.
Now clean and protect with Bissell.
It'll put any neatnik in hog heaven.
Bissell. We mean clean.
First reconfigurable luxury SUT. Cadillac Escalade EXT. Breakthrough.
Want a close shave while avoiding razor burn? The new Extreme 3 from Schick balances 3 blades on a central pivot for a close, comfortable shave. Extreme 3. Get close, not burned.
It's a brand new day. It's your life.
Introducing Slim Fast Chewy Granola Meal Bars.
It's a brand new day. Eat it right.
Manage your weight with a balanced meal. Chewy granola mixed berry, rolled oats, tousled with a flavor of raspberries, blueberries, even cranberries, and essential Slim Fast nutrition. It helps you manage your weight and your life.
It's a brand
New granola bars, a new meal option in the Slim Fast plan. It's your life. Feed it right.
For affordable, full-color digital imaging systems that make everyday presentations really take off. Think inside the box. Think Savin.
Next, 14 arrested for a deadly beating. The Milwaukee DA takes you inside the case. Ashley Banfield on location. Next on America's News Channel, MSNBC.
Citadel here in South Carolina with Nicholas Sinclair, and he's in the hardball hot seat. Here are the rules. You have 90 seconds to answer as many questions as possible. When you answer a question correctly, you will hear this sound. When you answer a question incorrectly, you will hear this. If you say pass, I will move on to the next question. I must accept your first answer. The clock starts when I finish the first question. Nicholas Sinclair, you're in the hardball hot seat. Live free or die is the motto of what state?
Delaware.
Who was the first woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State?
Madeleine Albright.
What football team won the first Super Bowl?
Pass.
Who invented the cotton gin?
Eli Whitney.
Which president initiated the domestic program known as the Great Society?
Lyndon Johnson.
What is the capital as well as the largest city of Indonesia?
Pass.
In 1981, what woman became the first female justice of the Supreme Court?
O'Connor.
What was the first feature-length animated movie?
Cinderella.
With what novel did Harry Beecher Stowe stir the conscience of Americans concerning slavery?
Uncle Tom's Cabin.
In 1851, the first edition of what New York newspaper was published?
Pass.
Which Prime Minister of Great Britain also won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953?
Pass.
In front of what New York City building was John Lennon shot?
Pass.
Who is the current Secretary of Housing and Urban Development?
Pass.
What was the first public golf course to host the U.S. Open?
Pass.
Whose face appears in the U.S. quarter?
Washington.
What river acts as the border between Texas and Mexico?
Rio Grande.
What 1975 film was the first to earn over $100 million?
Star Wars.
House of Representative members served terms of how many years?
2.
You made it with that one. Okay, you got 7 right. Thanks for joining us in the hot seat. It's been a great honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nick. Nicholas Sinclair answered 7 questions correctly. That puts him in 3rd place on the Hardball hot seat leaderboard. The overall leader so far was last week's contestant, Kevin Laskowski of George Mason University. The Hardball hot seat returns next week as the college tour heads to Cleveland State University with screenwriter Joe Esterhaas. He's the guy that wrote Basic Instinct. Joining me now for the political buzz, D.D. Myers was White House press secretary to the first Clinton administration. And Ralph Reed is a Republican strategist. He's chairman of the Georgia State Republican Party. My, you've both moved on to greater things. Dee, let me ask you about Dick Gephardt. You know this fella. He came out yesterday, joined the president, left a lot of Democrats behind on the war issue. What do you make of that?
Well, I think he was speaking his conscience. I think that he made that very clear. I think he's a man of principle and a man of his word, and he said he believed that this was the right thing to do at the right time. That said, I think there are a number of Democrats who feel that they were left hanging out there a little bit and that more progress could have been made toward an acceptable resolution that more Democrats could feel comfortable supporting had he held back a little bit. And certainly Tom Daschle over on the Senate side has put the best face on it, but it's made for some little bit of difficult sledding.
What do you make of this, Ralph? I mean, it's a complete laydown by Gephardt. He's agreed to language in this resolution. It basically says to the president, I'm not going to declare war. The Congress is going to leave it up to the president. Here's the word: defend the national security of the United States against the continuing threat posed by Iraq. Absolute blank check. He's given it to the president. What do you make of it?
Well, I think what happened was Dick Gephardt can count votes. And I think the vote in the House was going to be something in the range of 350 to 380 votes for the president. And I think it was a matter of either get rolled over or try to run in front of the parade.
Does he gain any credit with the public, do you think, in an upcoming presidential election by going with the president a bit early like he did?
I don't know, Chris. I would probably think less so than, say, somebody like Lieberman, because Lieberman's really been out front on this for a long time, taking a position that he was in support of the president. What's ironic about this is that the Democrats' last standard bearer, Al Gore, gets up and gives a speech highly critical of the president, suggesting that he's acting unilaterally, which of course is not true, but very critical of the policy. And within a week, you've got bipartisan agreement in the Congress. So it doesn't look like Al Gore is even leading his own party at this point, much less articulating an opposition for the country.
Dee, is that true that Gore has lost the banner of leadership?
I think that, excuse me, I think that Al Gore is still the front runner for the Democratic nomination in 2004, should he choose to run. But he's not a member of Congress at this point, and he's not grappling with these issues. And I think that Dick Gephardt did what he thought was right. What I think is interesting, though, and I think the mistake that Democrats make is this going to help Dick Gephardt should he choose to run in 2004? We don't know the answer to that, but was there a huge penalty for Democrats who voted against the Gulf War resolution in 1991? I don't see any. In fact, the next year we elected a president who hadn't served in Vietnam and whose position on the Gulf War resolution was, I understood the arguments of the minority, but I was with the majority, or something like that. In other words, voters expect members to vote their conscience. They think these are very important matters, and they don't make them pay a huge political price. And I think Democrats are missing the boat by responding to these sort of Republican challenges to their patriotism by doing their job and working through these very important issues. I think it's a big mistake for Democrats.
On that point, do you think Gore was successful in shifting the topic to the economy the other day? You first, Ralph.
No, I really don't. I think that he will be as unsuccessful in this political move as he was in his last one. I mean, if you really look at the speech, Chris, it was really kind of sad. I mean, he got up and said stop focusing on this menace to the nation.
Let's talk about that Gore speech. I also want to both you views on this switcheroo in New Jersey. It seems like we got a relief pitcher running for the Senate. We're watching Hardball. More coming.
MSNBC's Political Buzz is brought to you by Fidelity Investments.
Roll over your 401k?
Of course.
But it's not like you're going to let it just sit there.
No, you're going to push it and prod it and make demands on it.
Then you're going to put it in the hands of money managers who won't give it a moment's rest.
Yeah, you're going to roll over your 401k.
You're just going to make sure it doesn't roll over and play dead.
Call a Fidelity retirement specialist to roll over your 401k. Because you're not just invested, you're personally invested.
I heard it defies gravity.
I heard its brakes could stop a freight train.
I heard it can fly.
You won't believe what people are saying about this car until you drive it. Test drive the BMW 7 Series at an authorized BMW center to see for yourself.
Clouds with bright white tops in the middle portion of the country indicative of thunderstorms, some of which will be heavy and gusty as we head into the daylight hours of Friday. You're accurate with the forecast if you're traveling Friday. Thunderstorms as early as the morning hours could cause some weather-related delays in Chicago and other parts of the Midwest. In the Northeast, there'll be some low clouds and fog. This low ceiling and low visibility could cause some weather-related delays, especially early in the day.
Next, 14 arrested for a deadly beating. The Milwaukee DA takes you inside the case. Ashley Banfield on location. Next on America's News Channel, MSNBC.
What does it mean to be fiercely independent?
I think what makes us unique is we're willing to explore new ground.
Having the courage to follow the story.
I don't rely on scripted material. It's happening. I'm there.
Voicing your opinion.
I have an opinion about a lot of things. And it's nice to be in a place where you don't have to throw a blanket open.
Getting to the truth.
Just tell the people what happened. Better yet, it's television. Show them.
Demanding accountability.
When somebody comes on the show and tries to give me their TV commercial, they're not going to get away with it. I'm going to try to make that person answer some tough questions.
America's News Channel, MSNBC. We don't have an agenda, and we don't take orders from anyone. That's what it means to be fiercely independent.
As a surgeon, I see seniors getting hurt at home every day. When my elderly mother refused to go to a retirement home, I found Life Alert. They constantly monitor my mother at home. In an emergency, she pushes this pin in, and Life Alert gets help fast. All elderly should have Life Alert.
Please call the toll-free number on your screen for more information about Life Alert. The phone call is free. Call now.
Hey kids ages 7 to 12, get into the swing of things at the Golf Channel's Drive, Chip, and Putt Junior Golf Skills Competition. It's free, and even if you've never played golf, we'll help you get your swing going. Winners may have a chance to compete in the National Championship. Register now at thegolfchannel.com or at the following locations. Space is limited, so sign up now. The Golf Channel's Drive, Chip, and Putt.
We'll get to that Torricelli race in just a second, but yesterday Al Gore slammed the Bush administration over the economy. Let's hear him.
How can it be essential that we go to war prior to the election, but absolutely fine to wait until after the election before we take any action to deal with the economy?
In response, White House spokesman Ari Fleischer shot back, quote, "I don't know that any answer is necessary or any rebuttal is necessary. Nobody paid a lot of attention to what the former vice president said." Is that too cruel, Dee?
Yeah, I think it lacked a little grace. Look, I mean, Al Gore's speech may have been superseded by events of the day, but I think there's certainly a lot of interest in and attention being paid to the economy around the country. And I think Al Gore has a point. Why isn't the administration focusing on both? They have an economic team that has sort of basically eluded confidence around the world. People in the United States don't feel good about it. People overseas don't feel good about it. And the president has been sort of silent on it. We understand he's very busy on Iraq. But, Chris, he's had time to go to 60 fundraising events and raise $130 $1 million for members of his party, I think he has time to focus a little more like a laser beam on the economy.
Ralph, let's talk about this election in New Jersey. I don't like the looks of it.
Can I respond to that, Chris?
You can, but I'd rather you talk about Torricelli. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I was just going to say, I don't know where Al Gore's been. I mean, the president has an economic policy. It's tax cuts, fiscal discipline, and trade promotion authority, which Al Gore had a chance to get and did not get. That's number one. Number two, if you read Al Gore's speech, it's a dodge. He says, focus on the economy. The reporters came up to him afterwards and said, what do you think we ought to do? And he won't tell anybody. It's really part of a hidden agenda to raise taxes after the election. That's what it's all about.
Okay, that's a good line. Let's go back to Dini then. Dini, let's talk about New Jersey a bit. It seems to me, I know you come from a Democratic background, so do I, but what do you think of this relief pitcher stuff, this designated hitter, where you have a couple weeks to go in an election, your candidate starts to stink like a dead fish, so you say, why don't we bring in a relief pitcher named Lautenberg who's been sitting on the bench? This is weird, isn't it?
It is a little unusual. There's no question about it. I mean, first of all, you just don't have that many instances where candidates who've won the nomination, who have $6 million in the bank, and who are sitting United States senators step aside. But that is an unusual circumstance, and it calls for an unusual remedy.
Well, why not we go all the way here and go to Carl McCall, who's got a stinkeroo problem up in New York, and put in Mario Cuomo for him? Well, why don't we go to California because Bill Simon can't get it together and give it to Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why don't we go all around the country and just yank all these starting pitchers and put in winners? I'm
all for it. If you can get the candidates to step aside and basically say, okay, bring in somebody else, then I think, look, is that going to happen,
There's nothing
Chris?
in the court ruling, Didi, but the court ruling doesn't really make that clear. Suppose the party thought, let me just tell you, Torricelli stank, and they wanted to get rid of him, but he wanted to hang on. It seems to me the state committee, the Democratic Committee of New Jersey, could have gone just as they did to the Supreme Court of New Jersey and said, look, or the Attorney General in this case, and said, look, we want to get rid of this guy. He's a real stinkeroo.
That wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened because you would have had Torricelli fighting it. You don't have Torricelli fighting it. You have him stepping aside. This is not the kind of problem we're going to see repeated all over the country. I think that's a red herring argument.
You're happy with this? This doesn't look like a trick to you.
I think it's very unusual, but the New Jersey Supreme Court took a look at election law, and they ruled 7-0.
And then ignored it.
They ruled 7-0 that there was a greater interest on behalf of the voters in having a contested election.
So these deadlines don't mean anything, right?
Well, the law didn't speak to what happens after 51 days.
Okay, go ahead, Ralph.
Well, what's clear is that after 51 days, there was no provision in the law for what happened. This was a move by Democrat bosses to keep from losing a Senate seat, and that's all it was about. It establishes a very dangerous precedent where not only in New Jersey, in any election in the future, but in other states around the country, the same thing could be done. And I don't think the voters can understand how it is that you can go through a primary process, go through a party choosing its nominees, and then you get within 30 days, and because you get some bad polls back, all of a sudden you can change who's on the ballot. I mean, how can you have a situation where a dead man in Missouri stays on the ballot and one who's very much alive in New Jersey comes off?
I know. Ralph, do you think the New York Times would have saluted this if a Republican governor had done it and a Republican senator had switched the route with some other Republican candidate? Do you think the New York Times would have covered this with glory like they did this morning? I think
I would not have held my breath.
Isn't this purely partisan? Ralph might have done it if he had thought of it. The Democrats, but isn't this really debased politics a bit?
No, I think, look, the Republicans, it's base politics for them as much as it is anybody else. They want Torricelli on that ballot so badly. That's the man they want to run against. They don't want to run against anybody else, and that's their motivation. Their motivation isn't good government. Let's protect state laws. Every state gets to make their own laws. New Jersey's have been interpreted by New Jersey Supreme Court. If voters don't like it afterwards, they can change the law. That's some of the arguments we heard after Florida 2 years ago.
The trouble is if you have liberal Supreme Courts, liberal Supreme Courts can change the law. Okay, back. Thank you, Didi Myers. I know. Ralph, come back next time. Thank you for coming this time. Ralph Reed, join us again tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, exclusively on America's News Channel, MSNBC. But up next, Ashley Banfield. She's on location in New York. Ashley.
Thanks, Chris. A frightening crime spree in the nation's capital area. 5 dead. And a sharpshooter still on the loose, plus a disturbing crime story in Milwaukee. 7 kids accused of killing like adults. Even worse. First, the headlines.
Hello, I'm Jessica Yellen, and here's what's happening right now. Residents in Maryland are on edge tonight after 5 random murders in 16 hours. They all happened in an affluent suburb of Washington, D.C., each victim shot with a single bullet. Police are now searching for the killer.
We don't know if there'll be more. We have nothing that we can put out about what